It looks like we're live. Oh my gosh. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Turnout. I am your host, Aloy. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you always know when the Turnout puts out a new video. Oh my gosh, guys. So, just so you know, I've been doing about one video a week, and a lot of the time it's been charmed videos. That is because I am in the process of kind of restructuring not only my home, but also my schedule. So there's a lot of kind of changes going around over here. You will probably only be seeing this background for a little bit longer because I'm trying to get a new space for all of this. Not only this channel, my other channels for making music, for writing, everything that it is that I do. I do a lot. So again, I just want to thank everybody who's been here supporting, and I know that I've been slow on the videos lately. Again, if you didn't hear, I did release an album. The name of the project is Strays of the World. The name of the album is In My Head. So feel free to go check out that album. It's available everywhere to stream. And I don't like to push my other projects a lot, but hey, I'm here, and it's the reason why I've been making a lot more music with my band and everything. So that has obviously taken away. But guess what? I still do. Still watch some Charmed. Still watching lots of Charmed. So, you know what? I forgot to bring up my notes. Let me get my notes real quick. Um, so yeah, Charmed. Charmed this week, I actually enjoyed it. I thought that it was pretty cool. I thought it was a good episode overall. There were like two things that like really irked me. One of them is very similar to just usage of wording. If you guys recall in the last episode, I got a little bit ticked that while they were running away after Dark Future Macy had killed Abigail, I was kind of ticked at the line, I never thought I would see Macy vanquish Abigail. And I'm like, vanquishing doesn't like leave a bloody body. That's not vanquishing. It's like you're using the word as it actually is and not like it's a whole thing. I made a whole video about it. But anyway, hello to MC and DC fan, Charmed Power Babe. Always like to see you, Sean. Definitely, Sean Alexander. Hello to Blazer. And all right, so I just wanted to say hi to everybody who's here, and we'll get more people coming in. Obviously, as this goes on, I like to ramble for a few minutes until we get a few more people. You guys know how I do. But yes, I'm definitely going to go through and give some of my thoughts. They've stayed pretty consistent on having about three different storylines. Technically, you could say that this one has four storylines if we take Harry and his memories and whatnot as its own story. So this would be the Macy and Jordan trying to find out who the Whispering Evil is. We have Harry with his dreams. We have Maggie and Antonio, and then we have Mel and Abigail. And technically, I guess you could say Mel's story merges with Abigail's, but it's technically Abigail's story. But I mean, really, if we even separate the two of those, that would mean that there's like five storylines going on at one time. It's a lot. It was actually a lot, but I think I feel like they did a really good job balancing the screen time. They did better than they did last episode. There was less of like cutting away to dumb stuff. Though I still think a lot of Mel's stuff, I get it, hormones and whatnot, it's messing with her. But for me, that's not necessarily engaging on a story level. So if you just show me a bunch of scenes of Mel sitting around crying, that's not all that interesting. I did like some of the stuff, and I'm going to go through it in a second, but mostly that could have just been taken out. The whole Maggie Antonio thing, all that did was just reveal like why Jordan left in the first place, because even just Antonio being in Maggie's vicinity has driven him freaking crazy, which I did not like. I did not like seeing that, literally there, like she overdosed him. It was crazy. Macy and Jordan's story was good. Harry was it was a little weird, but I think it worked out. But I had a few gripes. I just had a few gripes with the show, but otherwise, I think this episode was pretty strong. It wasn't the strongest, but it was strong. I liked it. So it starts off with a woman going through a parking garage, and she gets to her car, and Abigail is sitting in the back seat, and she goes, "Hello, sister." Don't I do bad accents? Don't worry about that. I do bad accents. So hello, sister. I thought that was first off, that's cool. I like that they were gonna give us some Waverly. So you definitely want that. I'm getting yeah, okay. I was gonna say I was getting that the feed was slow, but I think I fixed it. So hopefully it'll be better now. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, so we start off with that scene, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a good scene. I can't wait to see how the two sisters kind of engage with each other." But yeah, so then Mel is nesting, and she's like bad at building a crib. Like cribs aren't hard to build. As a father of three, I have built not only my three, but I've helped friends build theirs, and it's not that hard, guys. It's really not hard to build a crib. Also, I feel like the Allen wrench joke is. I feel like that's from like the 50s. Like that would have been like on a Donna Reed show. Like, who's Allen and why does he have a branch named after him? I thought that was I mean, it was very cheesy and and not funny, which I think they were going for humor, but it was not funny. I laughed at it, but in the way that they don't want. But then Jordan comes back, and I was like, "Yay!" And he's like, what's happening? Oh yeah, Mel's pregnant. Oh, okay." And I'm like, "It's really only been like 3 episodes, right? Like, it's really only been like 3 episodes since he's been gone. Like, really, has that much changed?" And yeah, because they shifted gears like real fast away from the perfecti, and each episode was not like a week or a day. Like there was one where it was just like 3 weeks had passed. So like, that was one thing that I always did appreciate about like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer is that each episode was a week. Like you would treat it like this happened this week, that happened last week. And when they would go out for summer break, that would be when the show stopped. And then when they started back up, it was them coming back from summer break. Like you felt like you were in it with them. And that's not necessarily the case with this show, at least not now, because it just kind of jumps around. And I know that that's not necessarily, it was never intended to be like that. But I'm just saying I enjoy that part so that it doesn't feel like there's so much time lapsing in between episodes. That actually was a big gripe of mine when Matt Smith's doctor took over, because if you watched like basically it was the show was the doctor, and I know I'm going on tangents and I apologize, but the show is the Doctor Who, the show, it is the doctor meeting a human and kind of slowing down. And when Matt Smith came on, the writer uh did not like that. The doctor was still just the doctor, and he would be like, "Well, I know I saw you in the last episode, but I went on 100-year hike in between episodes." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like like it makes it really hard to get a grip on like who the character is if in between episodes 100 years has passed, and like it's weird. Anyway, in this case, it's hard even to tell. I don't even know how much time really passed in between here. Um, but anyway, I'm about to get to a note that was actually a good note, which means where is it? Where is it here? Um, okay, so corporate stopped paying utility bills. Swan is like, "What the hell?" And Jordan's like, "Hey, I'm a lawyer. The board is in breach of contract. I can always." I'm like, Jordan's awesome. He's great. I love him. So Harry is acting weird. He's having dreams with a girl. And okay, so I'm like, okay, so there's going to be something with his past, which is his past. Like, just to kind of sum that, I'll just sum this up because it's not even that, it's not super interesting. But essentially, he is having memories of the way that, he's like, he died, as if it's not him, but he's only half of James, the man. Um, So he's having the dream about how it happened. And I'm like, that's cool. And he doesn't want it to happen. So he tries to go find a potion. It's a dreamless sleep potion. And he tries to find that and find the ingredients so that he can make it so that he doesn't have dreams anymore. So I'm like, okay, that's good. But that's basically the storyline. Just so you know, that's his side story. And it intersects with Macy and Jordan. Yeah, so let's see here. Where are my other notes here? So Waverly is super judgmental. Abby asks her to help take out Macy's powers and to get there's a blade of clarity from their mom. And she's just like, but you burned me when we were kids. And I'm like, really? Like, and it's one of those things, right? It's just like you've left me permanently scarred on my hand, and it's like, is that like it'd be different if it was like your face or like whatever, like like I think there's levels to like when that was bad, and you guys were kids, like you can't blame anybody. Guess what? When I was a kid, I burned down my whole backyard. And the fire trucks had to come out, and my mom had to like pay fines and all that stuff. She doesn't hold that against me. Luckily, no one was hurt, but like, fire happens. But anyway, they find that there's like a tracker on Waverly. I'm just telling everything today. And Abby didn't send it, so it bursts through the window and attacks, and it's like, oh no. But they get away, so it's whatever. So this was one of the things that I found kind of clever. So they're searching through the evidence board that they got from the future, and one of the pieces was faded but had a coffee stain on it. And Maggie's like, I remember spilling coffee on this book. And I was like, you know what? That actually is pretty cool, because what it does is it gives a sense of personality. Like she's the type that would one off be like, first off be like drinking coffee and stuff and reading magic books and magic texts. Secondly, that she would spill some coffee on a book and then just hide it away in the closet and not tell anybody. Uh, but also, it serves the plot as well. Like, because she's a klutz, which is weird because she's a dancer. Usually you can't be a dancer and a klutz, but I mean, I guess that's just what it is. But because she's kind of a klutz when it comes to her drinks, it actually made it so that they were able to identify that sheet. And the sheet in the future is faded, but then in the past it's not. And I was like, oh, like, you know what? That was like literally like 20 seconds of the show, and I felt like that was the best 20 seconds written of the entire season. I just like it was just so good. Like it was just so like that. Anyway, it's a small detail, but as a writer, I appreciate little things like that that serve the plot, but also really kind of give you a sense of the characters, and it implies a lot more than it actually says. And again, you can convey that in like 2 seconds, and it's pretty good. But anyway, I liked that. But the page is it's like from an African legend. It talks about a virus that takes on a host, and could be anyone. Ooh. And yeah, and actually I think, and I was right, because it was a demon from the tomb, which obviously, but you guys were right, because you guys said that it would have hopped on either like I think you guys said last week or the week before, y'all said it hopped on Jordan and then came out with him. And I'm like, yeah, but there's already demons out here. So I was actually wrong on that. Apparently it did have to catch a ride on Jordan. Which I don't know. How would the Perfecti have known that? And if they had known that, wouldn't they have contained it? And I guess that's the problem here now, is that yes, it hopped out and it went after Jordan, but the Perfecti, it just seems so weird that the Perfecti would have started betraying the Charmed Ones before they captured all of the demons that escaped. So it like they were basically kind of catching themselves in, like they were shooting themselves in the foot by going after their allies before they were actually done with their job. And wouldn't they know? But then if they knew that this type of being was out there, like you would think that would have been the first one that they tried to go after. Although, okay, no, I get what you guys are about to say, because it came out with Jordan well, no, because it came out with Jordan, and then there was at least an episode or two before yeah, so why would they have just sat and wait for the charmed ones? Why wouldn't they have gone after the whispering evil? Because if they were thinking that they were going to rule this life and then, this reality, after they got rid of the charmed ones, they wouldn't want the whispering evil just sitting around to take them out. So it seems like they would have had like a log of who all the demons were, and they would have gone after it. So anyway, I don't I there's that's a little bit of a plot inconsistency, and if it wasn't for the perfecti, like the personality of the perfecti as it stands, then like I would just chalk it up to like maybe they didn't know or maybe they were caught up in the moment or whatever, but that's not how the perfecti work. They work logically, and they wouldn't just sit and wait. They would have kept themselves productive during that time, and they would have gone after the whispering evil before it would have had a chance, and then the charmed ones could have gotten rid of them. That's my thought on it, at least. So it just seems like there's like a bunch of time in between there. And if I recall, see, this is another thing with time. After the perfecti were, gone, and the charmed ones were trying to figure out if they were really gone, um, I think they said it like it's been a month, maybe they're just gone. And it's just like, huh. So like it's been weeks and they literally were just sitting and doing nothing for weeks. Again, I just find that very, very odd. Um, so anyway, and I didn't even have notes on that. I just was just thinking about that right now. So this was a cool thing too, is that Macy used Mel's DNA to create a potion to remove the allergy, which is genius. That's her science at work. But that it's not obviously going to work immediately. So there you go. All right. So let's see. Let's see. Jordan. Okay, so but Jordan's like, okay, cool. So there's an attack. Like there's from safe space, which again, here's another thing that I actually find kind of weird, is that they can hear, like if they're in the command center, like the command center, I never took it as like really being in safe space. Like I always, well, I mean, and I guess it is, but I took it as like, there's a secret door. This is kind of where it is. But if there's a secret door and all of that, like magic and whatnot, you would think that sound would not be able to travel through it. There should be a soundproof door because there's giant magic fights and stuff happening uh, in the command chamber. So you're telling me that everybody in safe space is hearing all that? And if they're not hearing the stuff coming out, then it would be weird for them to hear it out. But they're hanging out in the command center, and then they hear and then they go out of the command center to go and check on who the scream was. So it was just weird to me. Like I don't feel like sound should travel through the doorway. That's weird. So but they find Swan, and they find Jordan, and they find like 3 or 4 other people who are like passed out on the floor. They're still alive. And like Jordan is there, and he's like, there was clicking everywhere. I couldn't stop anything. I didn't see anybody, but there was somebody who came and attacked us. And like at this moment, I'm just like, I really hope that they don't make Jordan the whispering evil. This is what I was thinking, literally. I was just like, but it's obvious that he is. Even at this point, it's obvious that he is, because everyone else is knocked out, but he's not. That's suspicious, just 100% right on its face. Just if everybody is attacked and there's one person who was attacked less, there's probably something with that guy. And they're saying that like, hey, uh, it could be anybody. Ooh. And I'm like, it's Jordan. And I really hate that it's Jordan. And I wanted to talk about this a bit because making the whispering evil Jordan, let's talk about that slightly. I understand why, as writers, they might want to do it. He's been a hero this whole season, this whole series. Since he's been introduced, he's been the good guy. So as writers, they would think that, well, we'll subvert expectations. And that means that, he's been good all this time. So now we're going to make him the big bad. But I don't feel like they have earned that with Jordan because it's such a sudden change. Like you can't take it and do it like a Willow. Like there was a progression there with Willow becoming a big bad of a season. And you know, it wasn't just sudden and it wasn't just a mind virus and whatnot. It was her. In this case, you know, Jordan being the bad guy. So anyway, there's a difference between subverting expectations and viewership betrayal. Essentially, you know, one is like, oh man, I can't believe that that happened, and the other one is, why did that happen? That's making me mad that this is happening. um, and that's a thing. It's a thing, right? He's been good this whole time, so it was easy to just be like, well, obviously, we'll make him the bad guy. And that is revealed later on in the episode, but I just wanted to talk about that because it was obvious right from the get go. What are we talking, like 5-10 minutes in? It was obvious, but they don't see it. They're like, it must be Harry. It must be this person. It must be Swan. It must be this person. You know, they're thinking it's everybody but the person who was in the room when it all happened, but wasn't affected. Really? I don't know. So anyway, but remember what I had said when I said at the end of the last episode, they presented the Whispering Evil in a way that he was, you know, he was wearing gloves, he was wearing thick clothes, you only saw a portion of him, and it was because it meant that they were hiding who it was because it was somebody we already knew. Um, but of course, Jordan says, oh, I think I saw Antonio. He was here. He must be the one. And I'm like, yeah, wouldn't you say that if you're the one? Of course, you would want to get people to think it's somebody else. So Maggie goes to check in with Antonio. Harry shows up and is like going to help out the people at Safe Space, and Mel's and you know Macy's like, I don't know, it could be anybody. So now she's even suspecting Harry because he's been acting weird because of all his bad dreams and stuff. So it's like anybody. It could be anybody. Oh no. So let me see. Yeah. Oh, so so Mel's having another breakdown, and she says like, "Won't you stop already?" When a fly is buzzing around her, and then it freezes, and it was just like, "Oh, that's interesting." So, the two hypotheses that I had in this moment was either the baby is giving her time powers back, or the baby has time powers, and Mel still doesn't have time powers, but it can kind of extend the baby's time powers out. And that's what it ends up being. It ends up being the second one, that the baby actually has time powers. And because of the hormones and the lack of control and all of the stuff happening, the baby's powers kind of just dipping out every so often. So I'm like, okay, I kind of dig that. Hello to diversity. Hello to Mar. Let me see who else has shown up since we started talking. And I'm rambling a lot, and just like normal, I'm going to end up going back through all of the chat, and I'll hit all the questions and stuff. So feel free to throw out anything, and I will definitely hit it if I can, although the chat messes up sometimes. But, you know, that's a whole thing. If you definitely want to make sure that I see it, you can always do a super chat, you know, like $1 or whatever. You can put whatever amount you want in there, but it makes it highlight. So there's that. So let's see here. So I thought that was pretty cool. So Abby and Waverly show up at Mel's, and you know, they start fighting and stuff, and Mel's like, I'm gonna separate you guys. And like it's interesting. It didn't necessarily go the way that I was expecting it to go with Mel and Abigail, the whole thing. That's what happens up to this point. So I'm gonna go back now to the other people. So Maggie tracks down Antonio, and he's acting very normal. The reason why I know that he's acting normal is because he's sitting down and doing homework. The Whispering Evil would not take on a host and then sit there and do homework. That's stupid. Like, if you saw him toiling for hours over his, you know, his projects in school, and you think he's actually the big bad demon who's going to come and set and, you know, and take anybody over, like, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, it could still technically be him, but he would have been like him doing all that work would have dropped him on my list, is what I'm saying. So let's see. So Macy finds a broken claw in a wall, which this is kind of interesting. I actually realized after the fact that like all of the the infected, they end up growing like one long claw on their hand. And I found it interesting. I'm like, okay, so at some point there was a broken claw off in the wall, which tells me that that's, you know, it's probably it's somebody who is walking around and has the ability to go in, but they don't want to be found, so they're going to break the claw off on the wall. So I'm like, still made me, I was like, it's still Jordan. So I was like, yeah, it's definitely gonna be Jordan, because his finger is injured. And then that's funny because they find the claw and then his finger is injured and he's just like, I don't even know. I don't even know how to happen. Um, so yeah. So anyway, he says, and she put some truth serum in his drink, and then asks him, "Are you the Whispering Evil?" And he goes, "No, I'm not." But even as I was watching that, I'm like, that should make you think as the viewer that, ooh, maybe it's not him. But I'm like watching it, and I'm just like, if this is an ancient evil, do you think that he can't like separate? Like he is a host in Jordan's body, right? If he is the if Jordan's not host in the body, Jordan's body is the host, it is attached to it spiritually, but it's attached to Jordan, which means Jordan is not the Whispering Evil. The Whispering Evil is in Jordan. So even if we throw out the excuse that they give of like, I'm an ancient evil and truth and lies don't mean anything to me, like technically Jordan is not the Whispering Evil. The Whispering Evil has just taken over his body. So in that case, technically they're asking the wrong question. So it could even have been um, validated that way, because that was the first thing I thought. I'm just like, if this thing is there and it can be anybody, then it could be anybody, meaning your truth serum is not going to work on it. Like I just knew that immediately. Also, when Maggie tried to use her magic on it later, she's like, haha, your magic has no effect on me. And I'm like, oh, well, then they could have just validated it that way too. They could have just said, I'm immune to your potions and like called it a day. So it seemed like it was a stretch. And it was a kind of a good line though. Like the truth and lies don't apply to me. Like it's not a bad line. But it just seems like there were already two ways already introduced in the episode to explain why he was able to say, no, I'm not the Whispering Evil, and that he was able to say that. So anyway, they find footage of Harry breaking into the magic store with a crowbar, and immediately Macy's like, oh, he must be evil. And like, it's obvious that he's going after something for his personal reasons, though. Like, it's complete red herring. I felt like it was, I don't know, I felt like it was kind of a weird red herring, that it was a, what's the word, an unconvincing red herring. Red herrings are supposed to be like, maybe it is him, but like, you obviously knew, because we as the viewers were like, he's having the dreams, he's doing all this stuff, like we know that it's not him. So if you're doing a red herring just to extend the episode, like the thing with red herrings is it needs to affect the viewer as well. I don't know, it's just me. Macy confronts Harry, and then he's just like, yeah, it's because of my dream. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. And then like that was it. Then all of the safe space people start convulsing. Black stuff starts coming out of their nose and their eyes and stuff. Maggie texts 911, and then they're like, Swan is patient zero. And I'm like, hold on. Because if you also listen to a lot of the way that this episode is written, it's written in a way that it treats it almost like it's just Swan who got affected, and not the other 3 or 4 people who were also in safe space at the same time. But they were just like, I don't want her to have this done to her. Swan is patient zero. I'm like, they all got it at the same time. But like, it just seemed like it was, I feel like the script might have been written with just Swan there, and then they threw some extras in there. But like, it almost is as if the charmed ones are shitty heroes, because they're almost not even worried about anybody else who's there. They're just like, but I know Swan, so obviously we have to save Swan. So it the way that it was written, and I get like they end up there. There's even a couple of lines where they're like, and the others, like, but you could tell it was ADR. Like, I think that they realized after the fact that they're like, wow, the Charmed Ones are kind of ignoring the other three people, and the clown, which the clown was just, it was extra. It was just super extra. Let me see. So Abby and Mel are dealing with Raverly defending her mom. Then they start fighting, and then Mel separates them. So that happened after. So that's a whole thing. Antonio was given a truth serum, but Maggie accidentally gave him too much. So she called Harry for a magical detox because she didn't like what he was saying, even if it was true. I don't know. It was kind of I didn't like that side story. I thought it was kind of dumb. And honestly, for me, it showed that's another thing that I'm seeing of how the Charmed Ones are kind of bad at their jobs, because like Antonio was not giving any real vibes that it was the Whispering Evil. He was giving vibes that he was being, like he was basically being abused by the Charmed Ones in the same way that Jordan has been. Like, just being around y'all is just messing with his mind. And when you give him a truth serum and he's like talking about like, and then I danced with you, but then you pretended like it didn't happen, and then this happened, and then this happened, and like he's just spouting off all these crazy things that would have never happened to him if it wasn't for the Charmed Ones, Maggie specifically. Not to mention the whole nemesis thing and her like gunning for him for a while there. So yeah, anyway, I feel like I feel like the Charmed Ones are almost the real monsters in this episode. So anyway, but the clown was stupid though. The Blade of Clarity is needed from Abby's mom, but Waverly is being targeted. Mel breaks down again. I'm not a fighter, I'm a mom. Oh wait, I'm a fighter, not a mom. The other way that and Abigail consoles her, and she's like, you have too much love in your heart to be a bad mom. And then I'm just sitting here, I'm like, wasn't she the same lady who was gonna vanquish you like 5 episodes ago? That she was really about to just straight up murder you over something you didn't even do? And that's somebody with too much love, somebody who you were crying for help, and somebody who and she saw that you needed help, and she saw that you were in dire straits, and she said, go fix yourself, and almost murdered you herself. Like, that's too much love. Like, honestly, I don't see it. But I guess everybody's saying that like Abigail is in love with Mel. I also don't see that. But if that's the case, then maybe she's got blinders on for Mel. But really, no, that's not like, that's no, she does not have too much love in her heart. She's literally about to murder you. And you can't blame that on pregnancy hormones, because that was before. So, so anyway, Mel says, you're going to really great lengths to make amends to Macy. Maybe you should do that to your sister, for your sister too. And I'm just like, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, she is so freaking judgmental for Abigail. That's not love. That's not good. Anyway, I'm gonna stop now. I just think it's stupid. Waverly reactivates the tracker, so I was like, ooh, what's going on there? And then the demon comes and attacks and tries to kill them, but it's really just looking for Waverly so that the demon can get Waverly's child for the grant for the mom. And I was like, what? So it turns out that the baby apparently has magic that is eternal youth or whatever. So the mom wants it. So, but it looks like, Waverly and Abigail kind of made amends at the end a little bit. So again, this kind of leads back to my thought process of, I would love to see the two sisters make amends and then ride off into the sunset to be better sisters. And I think that would be a really good ending, since we do know that Abigail is leaving the show. I like the fact that it's kind of moving in the direction that I had said. I don't like it when I'm wrong. I like it when I get stuff right. So Macy's looking for a flashlight, and Jordan is attacked by a crazy clown. Kind of random, but like, I'd like immediately when they walked in, and I was just like, why is there a clown there? It's stupid. They just wanted to have a crazy looking clown in the show. I feel like it was a dare. I feel like the writers' room were like, how can we insert a scary clown in this show? Who's got the best idea? Whoever does, we're gonna buy you a coffee or something. Like, it just seems like it's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, it did seem like the narrow focus on Swan, kind of going back to that point. It felt like the narrow focus on Swan was again, it made them seem crappy, like crappy heroes, but also I think it might have just been a tweak to the stuff like with ADR and stuff. I think probably they realized it, which is why the ADR was brought in. All right, so Mel and Abby find a demon. They join forces to defeat it, and she's able to stop the knife again. And then after it says all the stuff that I said about the baby, then Waverly uses telekinesis to fling the knife into the demon, and it is vanquished. And that is what you would think of when you think vanquished. Like, it gets stabbed with a special knife, and then it turns to dust. It did not leave a bloody body on their floor. That's murder if you do that. So vanquishing is like the one that you can kind of feel okay about it because it doesn't leave a trace, I guess. Um, I don't know. I guess so. Let me see. So Swan knocks Harry out. Okay. Um, we get to see the dream from James because he's knocked out. So he does, because he's knocked out and it's not just natural sleep. He has to experience the whole dream. But I told you that the interesting thing about the dream is that he's like, I don't want to have a dream about like my former self being a degenerate. But he was a degenerate, and he was like hitting on a married woman. But then he saved her little girl, and that's how he died. And he's like, even as a terrible person, I was still a hero, and that made him feel a little bit better. And I was like, okay, cool. I think maybe he can put that part of him, like, aside now and feel a little bit better about who he is. And I feel like he should be okay with it anyway, because you're not that guy. Even though you're a part of that guy, you're not that guy. So let me see. So Macy tries to appeal to Swan, but it doesn't work. But Harry uses the dreamless sleep powder that he was working on at the last second, which I did like that little thing. He's like, I got all the stuff together, but he didn't use it, so he used it on them. That means that Swan will obviously be saved probably near the end of this, because she got the potion. The rest of the people, no, they'll probably die. Let's see. Oh, so then Maggie approaches Jordan as he looks like he's trying to leave. And I'm like, obviously he's the whispering evil. So they touch hands, and she gets a vision that it's been Jordan the whole time, which again makes sense. Like, you don't have to be Sherlock to figure that out. He was the only unaffected person in a room full of infected people. So why was that the case? So she tries to do her powers on him, and they don't work. So there you go. Why would it though? Because the potion didn't work. So, there you go. And he says that he had been locked away for 20,000 years. Like, oh man, that would probably put a chip on my shoulder too. Um, so anyway, Maggie goes, I touched Jordan. So if he's magic, we should be okay. So when all of the infected were attacking them, you find out that the allergy is gone. They were able to defend themselves, and they're like, but what do we do now? And here was my problem with the last line of the show. And again, this is a whole thing about framing. And this is a problem that I had with some of the lines in the show are written with bad framing. At the end, Maggie goes, we have to find Jordan and stop him. But that's not Jordan. So this would be the difference between the way that I would write it versus the way that they wrote it. They immediately identify Jordan as an enemy, and they say we need to find Jordan and stop him. The way that it should have been written is we need to find a way to save Jordan from the whispering evil. And that was something that really, it irked me so bad. I was enjoying the episode. I thought that the tension was really good. I felt like everything was, I had a couple of little gripes, but I think that it's doing a good job moving all of the different storylines towards an eventual conclusion. And then at the end, it's just like, we got to find him and stop him. And it's just like, but it's not him. He's just the host. Like, It's like I have to stop that car from hitting the person in the middle of the road, and it's just like, well, are you gonna stop the car? Or are you gonna stop the person driving the car? You could stop the car, and then that would also hurt the person in the car, or you could just stop the person in the car, and then the car is fine. In this analogy, Jordan is the car, but it just seems so odd that that's the angle that they would go. It's just like immediately we have to find Jordan and stop him, even though it's not him. So anyway, there's my immediate kind of reaction. Let's go through. I'm going to hit some of these comments, and then I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to try and not be here for an hour and 20 minutes like I was last time. But you'll notice that I talked for 40 minutes about the episode as opposed to last time I talked for only about 20 minutes because I was like, it's a pretty solid episode. I ain't got no real notes. This one I had more notes, but not in a terrible way. So I'll say that it was a pretty good episode. It wasn't the worst one. I like the last episode better, is what I'll say. Let's see. I was hoping Ruby would be the Whispering Evil just to explain her random and complete shift about magic. That could have been interesting, although obviously it doesn't go with the storyline of it had to come out from the prison, and that did make a lot of sense. Like, if it really couldn't get out by itself, it needed a host, then yeah, throwing Jordan in there. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Hello, Charm Power Babe. I already saw that you posted a lot, so I'm going to be hitting a lot of yours. Hey, Sean, thank you for being live with me. I appreciate you. Let me see. Enjoyed it a lot. It was a lot of action. It was actually quite a bit. It was quite a bit more action than I was even expecting. Oh, hey, Victor. I didn't even notice your name on there. Hey, Victor. So let's see. Charm Power Babe. I hope that they will keep Waverly around. They're going to need all the witch help they can get. Seeing how Mel is pregos, Ruby should join too, and Abby. And of course, Abby, we need all the magic and firepower, to be honest. Yes and no. I am completely fine with Abigail and Waverly just going off to the sunset, like I said. They can go. I think that their story is concluded after, I guess, Abigail gives the demon powers back, which is whatever. There was a scene where Macy was consoling Harry and was like, oh, even that dark part of you, it's just a part. It's not all of you. And I don't know. It didn't seem like she wanted her demon powers back. It seems like that's just what people have decided is going to happen. But like, nothing about anything that Macy has ever said or done would say that she wanted it back, in my opinion. Let's see. I wanted Waverly to have a different power than telekinesis. Everybody has telekinesis. If they can't figure out a power to have, then everybody just has telekinesis. And I don't know. It's a little... telekinesis is a boring power to me nowadays, just because everybody and their mom in most shows have telekinesis. And like, if you take other like witch shows and stuff, like telekinesis on like a basic level is like, that's like beginner stuff. And I like the fact that Macy has telekinesis, and it's very powerful, and it's very like exact, and where she could like stop hearts and stuff. It's not just flinging things. But I also like that she had the other abilities as well, which kind of rounded her out power wise. So it wasn't just I move stuff, and it's great. Even Jean Grey has telekinesis and telepathy. Like even she's got, and I guess Dark Phoenix powers. I don't see any sparks between Antonio and Maggie. I don't anymore, because I think too, like, she said no, and he's like, oh, okay, well then never mind. I did actually kind of feel those vibes earlier, but I feel like, one, he's weirded out by all the weird stuff that happens around her, and two, she said no. So yeah, like, you know, I have been that dude, and honestly, that's the way that you should be, is like, hey, I'm interested in you. Do you want to pursue this? If they say no, then you stop. Like, there's, go find somebody else. So there's no reason for him to continue having, chemistry with her, because like, I'm done. I'm not even going to pursue this anymore. So did you do your schoolwork? It's like, done. We're not going to talk about anything else. I'm thinking budget, but I'm like, there are other practical powers that are easier and cheaper to shoot. Well, and it's less even I think it's even less about like practical maybe. I feel like it's like telekinesis is just like the go-to for general stuff. Because it's hard to come up with like cool unique powers. I don't know. Just look at the X-Men. Just be like, "Oh, she's got face changing powers, done." Or she's got optic blast, done. You know. Let's see. So Harry is mortal now, huh? I mean, he's like, he's not entirely mortal yet, I think. I'm sure that it will be a big to do about it when he finally is 100% mortal. Let me see. Abby seems really into Mel, even hoping the child is with her. Eh. I love the telepathy idea. That's dope and easy to do, but then she wouldn't have needed to set up Abby. Oh, that's true. Yeah, you wouldn't. If she had telepathy, she would just read the demon's mind. Yeah. Unless that particular type of demon is immune to mind reading, which might be the reason that it was hired to be the assassin in the first place. So, I mean, it could be that sort of thing. But you know what? If you look at the clothing of the demon was wearing like a bandana, looked like it might have been a biker. It was more that it was more of a bounty hunter. So he was only hired to find them, not necessarily kill them. So there you go. And again, I guess that's what he gets for being a demon. He got vanquished. Why? Because he was hired to go find somebody. He wasn't hired to kill them. He was hired to find them. But of course, being that he is a demon, it is 100% okay to murder him. Or I'm sorry, vanquish him. So, yeah. Anyway. If he had attacked first, like he was big and he was scary and stuff, but he never necessarily really attacked them. Obviously, with the knife he did, but that was after they were already fighting. So anyway, so did the virus thing in let me see. So did they do the virus thing in the mood of Corona because it's a way better plot than the allergy? I don't think it's a Corona thing. No, I don't think so. I mean, if it was, they would have done it like for the season, which is what I thought was going to happen. I thought they were going to take the mind virus. Again, this is the weird thing with the mind virus because they did a mind virus and then it got canceled. And then now we have another mind virus. And I'm like, why are you reusing this idea? Like if you were going to use it here, you shouldn't have used it over there. And if you were going to use it there, you should have just used it and extended it. I thought it was going to be, Jimmy coming with his like a recreated mind virus, which I think would have been really cool. And I think would have been better than just like, I hitched a ride on Jordan. Anyway. Meanwhile, the Perfecti are watching this from the tomb, or they're not, because you saw like they were like, "What's the internet? What's this?" So it's not. I don't think that they can view out of it. So there's that. I find it odd that they put a human in the tomb in the first place, even when he was helping Abby. I feel like magical beings are not there to judge or punish human beings. I feel the Perfecti don't care. I feel like they have the wrong logic. The I am good, therefore anything that I do is good, meaning, even though you probably shouldn't put a human in there, it's not bad because I did it and everything that I do is good. So it's kind of that way. So it's bad logic because they only had one way to really look at anything or to resolve anything. Maybe they can only hear outside and it can't be heard from the outside. Yeah, I assume that that's like the wall to the command center. Like, but anyway, like, but if they're having a party at Safe Space, I mean, it's a business. It gets right now it's not having that much traffic, but you'd have to assume that it's got tons of traffic going through. They're throwing events. They have intercom systems. There's businesses there. There's hundreds and hundreds of people that are just going through there. If they can hear everything that's happening in Safe Space in the command center, that would just be noisy. Like, I wouldn't want that. So it would make more sense for that to be noise canceling. I don't know, it's silly. Do we think that Swan's gonna die, or will they be able to cure her? Because they gave her the potion, the dreamless sleep potion, she will be able to be healed at the end. No one else. Everybody else is expendable, but they know Swan. So she has to be saved. Maybe they cannot travel out of the command center because of some sort of spell, but they can hear from the outside or safe space. I mean, I don't know. Again, it's just like small inconsistencies that are just like, really? Like they heard somebody scream on the second floor of safe space when you're down here, and like you have to go through the boiler room, which makes noise too. Like all this, it's I don't know, it's just weird. Yeah, better not kill Swan. Better not kill Jordan is what I'm saying. I don't like Jordan being the enemy now. I don't like this trend of offering the love interest life. It's a trend. First Galvin, then the rich guy, then Jordan. I hate it. Wow, that's true. This is actually a trend. I don't think Jordan. I think Jordan's going to be fine at the end, and then Jordan's going to be like, you know how I went away before? I'm really going now. Don't expect me back. Y'all crazy, especially since you're not even thinking about coming and saving me. You want to come and stop me because you think it's me, even though it's not me. Anyway, maybe since Harry will be mortal, they'll have Jordan because a white lighter to save him from the monster. I mean, technically, Jordan is not evil. The monster is. Well, that's what I'm saying. I had said before that like Jordan could be a white lighter, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I would want that though. I don't know. That's a hard one. It would be cooler if Jordan had some kind of willow route, turn him bad by his own terms or intentions, not the possession route. And that's what I was saying. See, y'all know what I'm saying. Would be cool if they had Cat return. No, Cat was dumb, so it's fine that she's gone. I also hope Jada shows up. Y'all love some Jada. She ain't coming back. um, let's see. Antonio is nice and all, but his only role is to be Maggie's frenemy, nemesis, whatever boy. I don't even see how they have chemistry. Yeah, you know. I find it odd that Macy did believe Jordan on the whole claw thing. If he is possessed, of course he ain't gonna say, "Yeah, I'm it." Well, and that's the thing is, they just. I think that was maybe a blind spot for Macy because again, Jordan is always good and was just offering legal advice and was just helping this person do that and that person do that. He's helping with the getting into the system. Like he is all over it. He is helpful. So they have a blind spot for him, which obviously then, of course, makes him the best person for the bad guy to possess, but also is kind of a betrayal to the viewers because it's not on his own terms, as you said before. It's a possession, and if they have to kill him, then it's because he was possessed. Wouldn't the truth serum have taken a half hour or so to work? Macy asked way too soon. I guess it depends on the dose, probably. Who knows? Not sure. Don't you find it weird that potion spells and powers are not supposed to work on Jordan, but Maggie is able to have a vision when she touched him? I don't find it weird. Here's the thing about that, because as a game designer, haha, that's my day job. I do game design. I have had to look at the intricacies of different types of powers and abilities. Visions are not. It's not something that you are doing to somebody. Visions are something that you have. So, it's the same thing of like, if she had created a force field to stop him from punching her, that force field would still stop the Whispering Evil. You couldn't do it against him, but you could do it to protect yourself because it's all about the target of the spell. If you are targeting the thing and it's immune, then it doesn't work. If you target yourself, which is what a vision is like, I touched you, but I'm the one having the vision. If she was trying to have him have the vision or affect his emotions, then he would be immune. So it's a technicality, but I was okay with it because it makes sense, because one is a passive personal thing and the other one would be more direct and targeted. From game designer standpoint, I would say, yes, that one wouldn't work. This one probably would. I would make that determination at my table. For anybody who plays RPGs, you know what that means. So yeah, if Macy's telekinesis doesn't work directly on Jordan, she could easily have used her powers to throw something at him. Yes, that would be the technicality. You wouldn't be able to use it to move him, but you'd be able to pick up a trash can and throw it at him. Yes, most definitely. But I don't think the Whispering Evil is going to be defeated by throwing something at him. And I don't think that she's done enough training. Like, that was actually kind of the thing is like when you get into like superhero things, it's just like, I'm not picking up a can or a trash can and throwing it at you. I'm picking up like a Mack truck and I'm going to fling it at you. And that might hurt the Whispering Evil, but also would kill Jordan in the process. So maybe that's not what they want. Or maybe it is because they really just want to stop him. They don't want to save him. So annoying. Do you think her premonitions from the Black Amber let her see the vision? No, I think it's what I talked about before. Sure. Witch team, Super Witch Team, Macy, Abigail, Maggie, Waverly, Josefina, and Ruby protecting Mel at home. Yeah, I mean, it could happen. Like a unity between all of the witches could be cool. The clown was pointless. I agree with that. Completely agree with that. All right, let me see. So the chat just skipped, so I'm gonna figure out where I'm at now. I wonder how many other ancient creatures are in the Tomb of Chaos that are not chaotic evil. I would assume that most of them probably are. Like, I think that probably the worst of the demons were the ones put in there. But chaotic evil is different. I mean, evil is evil, right? There's lawful evil, neutral evil, chaotic evil, if you want to go by D&D terms. Chaotic evil is crazy, but even lawful evil can be bad sometimes. Like, I'm evil, but I follow rules. Well, you're still evil. Or the Charmed Ones tapping into the baby, its magic to destroy the Whispering Evil. That could be interesting. Let's see. Are we sure this gives Jordan something to do, or is he getting the short end of the stick here? I mean, definitely he's getting the short end of the stick here. So I mean, essentially, we have to assume that he has not been Jordan since he got out of the tomb, which that's bad. That's really bad. And probably the thing was able to take him over because his mind was so deteriorated. And so it was able to take him over. So even if they are able to save Jordan, who knows where his mind's going to be at that point? It could actually be really, really bad. Just pointing that out. It could be that there is no more Jordan in there. Who even knows? Imagine they stop the Whispering Evil by sending it back into the past for the Perfecti to trap it in the tomb. That's an interesting idea, actually. That's actually a really cool idea. The question would be, how do they get it out of Jordan? I guess one way they could do it would be to find a different host. So who do we think could be the host that could take over for Jordan so that Jordan doesn't have to go back with it? It could be that like Abigail, volunteers to take on the thing and then fling her back into the past. And she's like, I was supposed to be in the tomb anyway. It could be something like that. There's a lot of options, honestly. They could throw it into a dog. Throw it into a dog and send the dog back. All right, let's see. Hold up. Didn't Jordan infect people on his trip? I think that's also the thing, too, is like, they're like, oh no, it's starting now. And I'm like, he hasn't been Jordan since he left the jail. The thing's been in him. So maybe it took time for it to activate, but no, he more than likely was away and has been infecting everybody that he's been encountering. And maybe he can trigger it. Maybe it's something that he can be like, I'm going to infect everybody. And I can be like, bam, now everybody is infected and everybody gets affected. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I think I'm gonna end it there. We're getting at about an hour. There's a lot of things to ask about this, but the main things are, you either are a friend of the Charmed Ones or you are an enemy of the Charmed Ones. And if you're their friend, then you're the only one that they care about. And this is where Swan comes into play. But if you were their friend, but are now their enemy, in turn, like now Jordan, then they will immediately forget all of the amazing things that you've done for them and all the help. And they will just say, no, we need to stop that guy now because he is the enemy. So I don't know. It's just really weird. It's just really weird. I'm interested to see what happens. We only have 2 more episodes left, and then the season will be over. So I want to see what happens. Hopefully Jordan survives. If he does not survive, then yeah, then that's going to be a trend of, men who love someone in the Charmed Ones being sacrificed at the end. And I hope that they don't do that, because Jordan's awesome, and I really think I think he should be freed, and that he really does just leave the show, because just being around these ladies is just driving him crazy. But anyway, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you always know when we release new videos or when we go live. And I will check you guys out for the next review. And have a great one. I've been your host, Aloy. This has been The Turnout. Thanks for showing up.